We now turn to our next item of business, which is an evidence session on the Scottish Government's Child Poverty Delivery Plan 2022 to 2026.
A lot of the time over the years when we've been talking about anti-poverty strategy and what we want to see in anti-poverty strategy, one thing that we've needed to see is consistency in approach, and a consistency that will go across parliamentary terms in particular. And I think what we're seeing here is the benefits of the Child Poverty Act and the importance of that. And so I think for the Parliament and for all of the different parties within the Parliament to retain the unanimity around that approach is really important. In our consultation around the plan, we similarly heard very clearly from community organisations about the importance of childcare and the importance of extending the offer of childcare so that it begins earlier for younger children. So that's really important. But I think what's in the plan in terms of the offer to parents and that connectedness with the dedicated key worker that will help support access childcare, will take into account issues like transport and so on, that's really welcome. I think we're going to need to see that developed really quite quickly in terms of the implementation of that new offer. So that's a critical part. And I think in terms of how we do that, we need to draw on the lessons of what's worked in the past. We're not starting from zero here. So looking at programmes like Working for Families that were around quite some time ago now, more than 10 years ago, maybe even 15 years ago, and where there was an offer of holistic integrated support to help parents return to the labour market in a way that worked and that actually had an impact in terms of sustainability. We need to see the Scottish Child Payment progressively increased over the remainder of this Parliament. We've called for £40. And I think, as others have said, that needs to be kept under review. So we have a measure of income adequacy in the minimum income standard. We use that minimum income standard in different parts of Scottish Government policy. So in relation to the real living wage and the way that we understand real poverty in Scotland, we use the minimum income standard to help guide our understanding of what is needed. The development of the minimum income guarantee, we hope, will be based on a minimum income standard, and that should take us towards adequate incomes. But what's important is the practical steps that we take. So Scottish Child Payment, really important. The mitigation of the benefit cap, again, really important. But we're going to have to see a lot more of that, and particularly post 2023-24, if we're going to get towards the ending child poverty targets. The Poverty Alliance has been delivering the living wage accreditation scheme now for the last 8 years or so. And what we've seen from that, with 2,500 employers who've signed up to become accredited living wage employers. So there's definitely out there amongst employers a desire to do more and to be actively involved in initiatives and efforts to address poverty. I think we need to go further than that. Employment is absolutely central to tackling poverty. We spend a lot of our time talking about how employment isn't providing a route out of poverty for enough people. But what we do know is that when employment works, it is the key route out of poverty for many, many people. For most people, it's the thing that keeps them out of poverty. So we need to do much more to engage employers in discussions about their role in addressing child poverty. If the ambitions of this plan are to be realised, then they need to be much more central to that discussion. We need to be listening to people with direct experience of poverty in a more consistent fashion. It was one of the things that was said. There's some references in the plan to lived experience panels in different areas of work that's been developed in the plan, and that's good. But I think what we need is a very clear sense of how we can take what we're hearing through lived experience, which is that things are getting tougher, not that things are getting easier, and apply that to our policy responses. So whether that's in what we do around the new benefits that are coming online in Scotland and thinking about the value of those and the adequacy of those, or thinking about some of the crisis responses that are available, so the role of Scottish Welfare Fund and so on, is having that more real-time feedback. We know that the big data sets that tell us are we going to reach our child poverty targets are not going to be robust for the next little while. They weren't robust enough this year to report on. So we need to treat those figures with some caution, and we need to think about how we use other sources of evidence to tell us whether we're in the right direction or not.